Hey guys, Bill here with World Made Simple, and today we're going to talk about something, once again, a little bit off the wall, off the beaten path, and that is going to be China. We are going to have a separate video on China in regards to how it kind of falls into the world structure in our normal scheduled broadcast, but this video is going to be tackling the question of Taiwan because I know everyone kind of has an eye on China with everything going on around the world. You have the Middle East kind of exploding into war. You have the Russo-Ukrainian war still ongoing, I think 3 years at this point. Um, so where does China and Taiwan fall? Well, to give a bit of backstory, China's been trying to get Taiwan back since the Chinese Civil War all the way back in the 1940s, and they've claimed it as their own since. Anyone from China viewing this, I'm going to say something that's going to make you very upset, but it's unfortunately the way most of the world looks at it. And that is Taiwan essentially is an independent nation in everything but name. Has its own government, has its own voting system, has its own military, has its own power structure, everything. And anybody in mainland China views it as their territorial possession because of their victory in the war. Now, Taiwan today is not like Taiwan of the 1940s and 50s that actually wanted to go back to mainland China and take it. Taiwan today is okay with being the independent nation of Taiwan, not the Republic of China, which it still recognizes itself as. The reason for that is because they just want this to end. They don't want to fight going on any further, but China has made it their prerogative to take back Taiwan. Now, only reason they haven't done so is for two reasons. One, because the United States is pseudo backing Taiwan. And by pseudo backing Taiwan, it's like, hey, if you touch Taiwan, something might happen. You don't want to know about that something, but something might happen. It's vague enough where the Chinese don't want to risk anything, but it's also vague enough where the US can go ahead and say, we never said anything about protecting Taiwan. So it keeps us from getting into any trouble while also keeping the Chinese from causing any trouble. There has been multiple years throughout history where this has been tested, and every time China has backed down, and the US has kind of stood tall with that. In recent years, especially with the Biden administration, people have started thinking that China might go ahead and try and take advantage of the turmoil in the United States, and especially with the whole turmoil in the presidential election campaign going on right now. I'm not 100% sure that they're going to. And the reason why has nothing to do with politics, has nothing to do with X, Y, and Z about how China operates, or X, Y, and Z about the United States military. Ultimately, it comes down to the second factor why China did not take Taiwan. It's hard and awful to conduct a naval invasion. I mentioned this in my geography video. Navally invading any nation or any site on planet Earth is awful. You need to go ahead and make sure you have a proper landing site. You need to make sure the tides are in correct order. You need to make sure you have proper weather. So that's all the geographical stuff before you can get into anything else. And then there's the physical movement of ships from point A to point B. China does not have a whole lot of landing ships. It has enough to transport roughly, I think it's between 50 and 100,000 people between the Taiwan Straits. And that sounds like a lot, and it is a lot. But I also got to remember that Taiwan's been preparing for this for 7 decades now. So they got plenty of anti-ship weapons pointed towards the strait. So China knows it's going to be an uphill battle just getting to the beaches. So let's say that they do get to the beaches. Taiwan is a mountain. It is a mountain island that is an urban environment. Urban warfare, one of the worst things ever in warfare, period. And now you're combining it with an amphibious invasion. It is probably single-handedly one of the most difficult amphibious planning operations in human history, if not the most difficult. An invasion of this sort would rival D-Day in terms of its complexity and danger to the invading force. China has no experience with amphibious operations. China does not have a great warfare history in recent times. On top of that, the Chinese Liberation Army, the Chinese Navy, as well, is in disarray because of a bunch of political infighting. So the political will is kind of all over the place in terms of the military. The operation itself is probably one of the most dangerous that you can ever do, and China's military history leaves a lot to be desired. If China were to go ahead and invade, there would be a couple additional problems. If the invasion is a failure, China's already on a very slippery slope with its population. If they launched a failed invasion of Taiwan, it would be game over for the Communist Party. And I don't think they're willing to risk that just yet. Just yet. Additionally, if they go ahead and actually successfully land on Taiwan, then what? You just basically cause the entire world to close all the shipping lanes to and from your country. I'm guessing the United Nations would probably go ahead and slap a bunch of resolutions condemning them, and there would be a ton of international pressure from the United States and the rest of the Western powers to no longer trade with China. So your economy is now gone, which means that your people also rise up. So China's in a sticky situation where it's made its mission to take Taiwan, but if they do and fail, they lose everything. And if they do and succeed, they also lose everything. So why do they still do it? Because the Taiwan card is beneficial in one key field: propaganda. The Chinese population can get very distracted with nationalist rhetoric, meaning that they basically go ahead and amp up one or two very specific things to go ahead and get the Chinese people riled up to distract them from other things going on. Taiwan is a great way to do this. They don't even need to land a single troop on Taiwan for it to be useful to them. They just need to keep holding these military drills, act big and proud, and basically just make the whole world think they're going to do it. This is actually more beneficial to the Communist Party than the actual invasion. The actual invasion would probably collapse China in one way or another. Saying they're going to invade keeps them a lot more stable. Sounds really weird, but it is technically how the party works in China. So that was kind of our look into China and Taiwan. I'm probably going to do a follow-up video looking at Russia and Ukraine and kind of that whole situation, because I know that's kind of still a decent sized topic, but I know the China-Taiwan thing's been popping up a lot more with the calls from both the East and the West to kind of send eyes to China. So with that being said, see you guys in the next video.